Though Mugabe had amended the constitution to allow greater powers of land designation, it seemed to many as if the government had forgotten about the landless rural majority. White farmers still owned most of the best land, and Zimbabwe's highest revenues came from their large commercial tobacco farms. White farmers grew rich. In the cities too, the lavish lifestyle of the emerging elite was a source of resentment to many. While a new class of capitalists feasted, landless peasants tried invading one or two commercial farms, but they were driven off by the police. Then, veterans from Zimbabwe's War of Liberation discovered that members of Mugabe's Politburo had been looting the War Veterans Compensation Fund. They were a poor but militant group who could control the rural areas where the majority of voters worked as peasant farmers. They had the ability to make or break Mugabe's power base. Fearing a loss of power, Mugabe gave in. He paid out millions of dollars which the economy was not generating.
The $2,000 a month pension to war veterans and $50,000 handout was completely unbudgeted, completely, and certainly no discussion in Parliament. So all of these things indicated to the world, certainly, and to those of us who were thinking about it and who were involved there, that he was on the wrong track, that he had lost his, if he ever had any, he had lost his principles. And now he was looking after himself.
Land must be redistributed equitably, but the British have been fighting us, fighting the head of state, Comrade Mugabe. They don't want to understand that the Zimbabweans are in Zimbabwe. What Comrade Mugabe is saying and what the people of Zimbabwe are saying is that land must go back to the peoples of Zimbabwe.
With war veterans pressing, Mugabe needed to revive land reform. He reminded the British government of its promises to find funds to pay for it.
The Blair government came in, and the then Minister of Lands and Agriculture, Crumbling, wrote and reminded them of the agreement that was signed at Lancaster House. And they were looking forward to, I suppose, another instalment so they could purchase more land.
Tony Blair refused, saying his government had no link to colonial interests and no responsibility to meet costs of land purchase. Blair finally did offer support, but with stringent conditions. Mugabe was incensed. He saw conditions as an imperialist interference in Zimbabwe's affairs. From that moment, Mugabe characterized Blair as public enemy number one, and himself as the African leader to stand up against imperialism. More than ever, his actions were now dictated by a total determination to stay in power. This pushed him to rely once again on military force, veterans from the War of Liberation.
Mugabe was the man of the moment until Mandela arrived. Sometimes I think some of the more obvious tragedies of Zimbabwe could have been out of a reckless attempt to reinvent himself.
When the Democratic Republic of Congo asked for military help to resist invasion, Mugabe had the opportunity to show his prowess. He led the way.
He quickly deployed the Zimbabwe military with huge costs, which costs Zimbabwe up until now has not yet recovered from.
But it kept the top-level military happy. Congo afforded rich pickings.